Take me through tonight's show. Just
No way.
Just tell me. Just tell me, in a couple sentences about each of the performers tonight.
No way.
Aside from you.
It's over. It's over.
Just tell me.
No way. Gotta say no.
So I'm Pete with generic shitty composer named Null. I've been doing this type of stuff for about 5 years, but been listening to electronic stuff for maybe 10. I come much more from like a grindcore, like really fast, hardcore, metal, punk, whatever background, and so basically my whole drive has been to try and like take all the fast, crazy shit from that and just try and do an electronic version of that. I used to be a drummer, but computers don't get tired. Computers can't like wuss out on you. Computers can't play really weak blast beats where you can't hear the snare at all. So it's just a great medium for me. I actually live in Amherst, Massachusetts right now. I'm from Boston. I moved to Pittsburgh. I moved back to Boston to go to University of Massachusetts Amherst to basically do research for them because it's nice stuff going on out there. But I come back here every now and then because this is where the family is. I have an upcoming record on the New York label Cock Rock Disco. It's a really new label I'm actually working on with someone from there named Donna Summer. I guess I have 12-inch coming out on Tiger Beat 6 offshoot label Violent Turd. That's news to me tonight. And I have miscellaneous comm tracks, too numerous to mention, and things like that. But I'm still more at the stage where I know my stuff needs to be developed more. I need more work, so I'm much more about just sitting in my apartment and working on it, trying to get it better. Playing a show like this like once a year or something, just to see if people are into it or not. Amherst is a much smaller city than this. On one hand, it's definitely far, far less people than you would see here.
There's no mayor, it's a town.
Oh yeah, I guess I think there's like 200,000 people total. Because when I moved there, I was thinking I had this master plan to bring the breakcore scene there. What I've been doing for all these years, but try to bring it there. But then I was sitting online with my friend, and we started actually researching how many people are in this town. Okay, there's 200,000 fucking people in the entire town. Even if we got like one out of every like 200 people there, which it would never happen. So it's pretty much like numerically impossible for shows to go over. But I don't really care about stuff like that. When I write stuff like my music, it's so fucked up to begin with. I don't expect anyone to like it. So there's definitely a very dedicated small subset of people there that do their own thing. Small independent spaces, maybe like 10, 15 people go to the shows, but it's still fun. I'd still play whenever anyone asks me to go out there, and I'd still set up shows for people in the area. So it's definitely fun. I lived in Pittsburgh for 4 years, going to college up there, and I really like that town. Because it's a smaller town, a lot of people really kind of band together and try and work on stuff. But at the same time, politics of people up there. Like I used to play in a metal band, and it got really hard basically being in a metal band with people, very, very kind of left-minded people playing in a scene with extremely conservative politics people, and there's a lot of people there that were like that kind of just in the general city. Moving to Amherst, it's just like going from over here all the way to over here where, I mean, to use a stereotype, like lots of hippies and just lots of just people into holistic healing and shit like that. So, you know, it's interesting. I'm not totally into all that stuff, but I can definitely respect it. And it's nice to be in a town where at least there are people out there kind of seeking alternative ideas and things like that. It kind of gives me hope for maybe if I do stay in the city, hopefully some people are receptive to ideas of if I do try and get music stuff set up out there or whatever.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
For this album, in fact, we decided that it was time for a change production-wise. Instead of using Robert Redford, who produced both the
Recycled Rain and Bathwater
album, we used two people, a guy called John Muhammad, who in fact first worked with us on the single,
Anti-Coalition Insurgents,
and
Kathy Smith,
who I'm sure you've all heard of, who's worked with
a pregnant mother, her 3 young sons, and her husband,
and numerous other people in the past. And the combination of the two of them together has been working particularly well for us. We found that
President Bush
is very much involved with rhythm, which is something we haven't really exploited to its full potential within the band before. And on this album, it's definitely the most rhythmic thing we've ever done. There goes the telephone.
And keep them moving like the new Harlem in the schoolyard.
Is it recording?
It's recording.
Hi.
How you doing?
Good.
How was your show?
It was okay.
Tell me, like, how old were you when you started performing?
Oh, better.
How old were you when you started performing live?
I'll probably be like 28 when I start to perform live. I started when I was like 16, like mainly doing like weird experimental noise stuff in this band Space Worm, and then like doing techno stuff in this band called Ariel, like at raves, and like kind of like more like just like all, like obviously no computers. I didn't get a computer until I was like 19 or so, but like all just like synthesizer, like acid kind of like synced up Roland box kind of stuff.
you alone as Kid 606 doing live stuff?
Ooh, really weird. The first experience of me alone was like, it wasn't really Kid 606, it was this group Disc that I had with Lesser and Matmus, and I kind of just did a disc show alone, which just was skipping CDs and lots of noise. I honestly don't remember the first Kid 606 show. Oh, the first Kid 606 show was in Minneapolis with Lesser, put on by History of the Future, and I just basically like, all my gear was going wrong. I didn't know what I was doing. I brought along way too much gear, and I couldn't get my sampler to work, so I just did Whitehouse covers. And that basically became like, I never fixed my gear, so that basically became the theme for the tour, where it was like all Whitehouse covers, and it was real crazy because I would just like, I didn't drink. I was pretty like clean, but would just like totally just like go crazy and scream and have like howling feedback and just like some few synthesizers, kind of more simple stuff, but like very just like harsh noise.
So what has changed in your life in the time since that till now? Like,
Gotten a computer. My vocal cords don't allow me to scream anymore as much. It just was just the whole thing where I just kind of like maturing and growing up, but mainly just like I'm just like back then I went on tour before I ever wrote songs. Like I just was always just playing around and making crazy noise and like kind of jamming with myself, and like basically I just got more and more into structure and writing songs, and it just like I had too many ideas to do kind of just noise or to just do improvised music. Like back then it was like improvise from start to finish, like no recorders, no hard drives, no DATs, no CD players. It was just like all sound generated live, and it's like cool and fun, but in the long run it's like there's so much I want to say that I can't physically do improvised or all at once. And I like to go back to doing that, and actually a couple weeks ago I did a show with Lesso's Disc, and it was really fun, and we didn't know what we were doing, we didn't practice, we just showed up, plugged in and went, and it was really awesome. But it was at like a weird arts kind of like festival. It's not something that I can really do as like a life decision and something to like that will make me happy over and over again 30 days straight in a row if I have to do it for, you know, in 25 different cities across the US.
do you feel like doing improvised music that you always have to do something different every night versus like
Yeah, I think
doing
with
this type of
improvised-
stuff that you get to play your songs and showcase
Yeah,
your
yeah.
songs? Like what, you know, you tell me.
Like right now it's like the improvisation is like just like how like lots of like just the short kind of the short modifications I can do. It's not like these vast changes that most people like can even hear. It's like kind of doing it for myself, what's still fun for me. Definitely with improvisation you feel like you have to do such drastic changes to kind of not only prove that it's improvised, but to kind of like break out from being from having rehearsing. Like improvisation can't be repeated improvising can't be rehearsing. Like it can't be like something that like sets you in some kind of mold. I don't think I pretty much can do the same thing every night just out of boredom, where I try and do different things and try to change things up. But as a whole, I kind of want to like put my energies into writing better songs than in trying to have a different set every night. Like that's much more interesting in me. It's like I'd rather have 10 amazing songs that I play every night for a month, songs that I think are amazing, than have to have like 10 things that are completely new and off the cuff every single night. So I mean, I try to mix it up and just basically like keep it interesting for me, and then kind of like really hope that there aren't too many people that see me more than once in a certain span. Like when people are like, "Oh, I saw you yesterday in New York," I was like, "Shit, so you just saw the same show over again? Great." You know, like it's not the same show, but I definitely feel like the people that can like follow bands and like see more than one show are complete freaks, and like I just don't know how they do it, because it's like I don't have enough time to manufacture more than one show to play in a 2-day period, you know? And it's a lot of where I get in a mode, I'm trying to say the same thing for like a month's worth of touring or 2 months or something, and it's not going to be so different enough that I think anyone needs to see it twice. And like I feel bad, I apologize like my tour mates, because they have to see it over and over again, you know?
You apologize all the time. Does that mean you're very critical of other people's music too?
Yeah, totally. But I just like to like apologize. Most musicians always want praise and always want acceptance. So most musicians kind of want like this kind of justification or gratification. I kind of apologize the way like I don't need that, because I really don't in many ways. And it's like it's kind of like apology, just be like, "Oh, I'm sorry. It doesn't matter." Like it's kind of like cross between being humble and just like pointing out like, "Look, I really don't care." So don't feel like you have to say things are okay. You know what I mean? Like I love like if people are really complimentary and actually do like feel a need to go out of their way and give you know appreciation about something. But as a whole, it's just kind of annoying when people people aren't willing to just kind of admit that you fucked up or it sounded like shit or there's problematic. And I don't believe in like the sacred cow and like the kind of like inability for certain musicians to do wrong or like, and I kind of like treat myself as very critically, and yeah, I treat other musicians like that too. And like touring with musicians, I'll see like 30 of their sets and be like, 3 of them I thought were better than all the others, and out of those 3 there was one best, and I'm always kind of judging, always kind of thinking. I mean, I don't really have like a critical kind of ear in like the music journalist sense. Like words don't come to mind, I don't try and describe things, but I definitely like will always be measuring things up to other experiences, and like seeing like 30 DJ Rupture sets, like I'll pick out my favorites, and while I'm listening to it, kind of like add it up to the others I've seen and kind of rate how he's doing and rate what kind of night it is and how the audience is reacting, because I'm just very observatory about all that stuff.
Songs and songwriting. Like, what exactly is your songwriting process?
It's always different. I mean, the idea is I never want a process, and that's why all my stuff sounds different. Some stuff is completely made out of other people's music. Some stuff is completely just me jamming around on a keyboard and guitar. Some stuff is just like analog gear and drum machines. Some stuff is really, boombastic kind of breakbeat stuff. Like, it's just basically there isn't a process. It's just kind of like, if I'm interested in a certain set of sounds and ideas enough to spend the time to make it into a song and hear it over and over again, then that kind of becomes a process in itself. But it's not like I start out in any kind of way and just sit in front of a keyboard or grab a sample and make something from that. It's pretty much always different. For me, it was at least, 12, 13. It was basically on the music mainly through my brother and just heavy metal and Sex Pistols and Black Sabbath and stuff like that, and kind of like, I thought the coolest thing about all this stuff was the album cover art, you know what I mean? Like, I bought Iron Maiden records because they look so damn cool, and I love the Eddie Robot, zombie guy more than I like the music, and it's like it was kind of thing where it's just like, I love the consummation and art and packaging, and the music was great too, but it took me a while before I was so discerning that I could find the difference between this song and that song, and which is the drums and which is the bass and which is the guitar, and really got into it, you know what I mean? I definitely found out that I eventually like a lot of instrumental music and like music that's completely instrumental, or music that's based solely on the vocals, like lots of hip hop and pop music, and then lots of music that's basically like absolutely has no need for vocals, but with lots of like stuff in between kind of falling short.
What's your introduction to noise? You talk about doing Whitehouse covers when you were 16 years old. That's kind of odd.
The first thing I got, I think, was this double CD, Dry Lungs, volume something. It was really amazing, and like, I heard Merzbound, it just blew my mind, and there was a local label in San Diego called Vinyl Communications, and they needed help putting a Merzbound CD together, and I like got in touch with them through a friend, and like went down and put it together and got a bunch of stuff from them, and really just totally felt like the freest, like basically it was just the most like freeing kind of like thing I ever heard, where I felt I could do that, where I wanted to do that, where I enjoyed it, and it's like it's such an introduction for anyone into music. I feel like eventually you have to progress and change, and it's like I feel like I've wasted a lot of time in my life making noise. And that's not even now. I mean, that's when I just purely sat there with 2 4-tracks and it's constantly like cassette after cassette of all these stuff. And it's like, it was really kind of a thing where it's so enjoyable while you're making it and so enjoyable to the maker. But I'm glad I never tried to like properly, release tons and tons of that stuff. For me, it's like I'm more interested in the stuff that has rhythm and the stuff that has vocals,
So Vinyl Communication was the first label you worked for?
Yeah. And it was on. I mean, it was a kind of weird, like, it's like a co-op kind of thing where it's like, if you want us to release your record, you got to chip in and help out. And I was totally willing to because I wanted to learn everything. And I work in vinyl communications, and with them, I learned everything and like all the mistakes to not make when I started Tiger Beat 6. So it was kind of like, it was like Tiger Beat 6 would have maybe never even happened if I didn't get all the, baby steps through vinyl communications.
What made you want to start a label on your own?
I always wanted to. I mean, even before I worked with vinyl communications and all during that, I just always wanted my own thing. I mean, it's just like having a child, just something you want and hold, and kind of like it's your own thing. I mean, I wanted my own label for the same reason Bobby and vinyl communications wanted his own label. It's just kind of that instinct. There's people that want it and people that don't. And like as far when it comes to like, I'm like a breeder. When it comes to like record, labels, like that's what it is. Like there's the breeders and the non-breeders, and I definitely want the need where it's like part like wanting to be in control of everything, and part like not wanting to have to like have other people be responsible for mistakes and stuff. Like I really hate like working with our labels and having all these problems and just having to blame them. It's like Tiger Beat 6, I either blame myself or fix it, or just be like, oh, I can't be too hard on myself. You know what I mean? And also I just always felt that I wanted to help other people, and kind of like I really worry about people, especially musicians, becoming fully self-centered and self-serving, and the easiest way to do that is to not kind of like devote your time to helping other people and doing things they can't. And it's like I already had the knowledge of being able to put out records and a little bit about distribution, that I kind of had to like share that with the people that didn't, and not just solely devote my life to just working for myself kind of thing. Definitely like one of the kind of ideals that I always stood to, and that was definitely learned through vinyl communications and noise, and kind of the more artistic side of musicianship and the more kind of innovative side, is that I'd kind of rather put out or make or release something that is completely original, even if it's not that aesthetically pleasing or good, than something that's totally aesthetically pleasing and good quality, but isn't original in any way. I mean, it's just too easy, especially when you have a label, to want to put out other things that sound like the stuff you've already done. And it's like, there's like, lots of people say like revolutionary noise is better than, boring kind of cookie cutter kind of good music, I mean, and it's kind of funny because we're always kind of bombarded with pop music that sounds the same, but the best pop music is the stuff that sounds different. And I think the underground's the same way, where it's like, I think there's less acceptance for unoriginal underground music in the underground than in the pop world. You know what I mean? People are more willing to give things credit just for being good quality or well produced or to fit into a certain genre, where in the pop world it's like things last for such a short amount of time that it's like you have to sound like this to stand out, and you have to come up with some new ideas. And that's why things like clips get so big overnight, or Missy Elliott and Timbaland, just stuff that just basically like isn't following the rule book. But at the same time, there's so much being made that just unoriginal and unoriginal. In the underground, basically stuff could be completely unoriginal, same old noise, same old techno, same old IDM, same old jungle, and just go on and on and on, because there's so few people judging or consuming it. I mean, the more important things are, the more important the game is, the more important the successes are. But in underground music, it's like, stuff's selling 1,000 copies, 500, 1,500. It's easier to get away with just being, with less ideas. And I think that's the sad state of the underground. Even if you did something amazing and had this amazing idea and put out a record as good as the last, Timbaland or Neptune's breakthrough production, it still would not get the credit it deserves. You know what I mean? So there's less kind of people even trying.